Prabhu Nityanand Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Radhika, Ksharamadi, what is the plan final?
So Prabhuji, we'll go ahead with the class and we'll skip. Yeah, we haven't told the children also today, so we'll start Prabhuji.
We'll go till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can go.
Okay.
Question. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So last time we saw Arjun going to heaven and how Yudhishthir gave a lot of moral instructions to his brothers and Draupadi. And finally, they decided to travel to various holy places of pilgrimage. Narad Muni advised them that it is good to travel to various places of pilgrimage and in this way accumulate piety. So they took the guidance of Lomasa Rishi, who said, I can guide you to all the places because I know all the places and I have traveled to all these places. So in this way, they started traveling towards the north. And they took the help of Ghatotkach in order to climb the steep, cold mountains of the Himalayas. And Ghatotkach carried Draupadi and all the Pandavas. His assistants carried the Pandavas. And in this way, they reached Badrikashram, one of the most holy places of pilgrimage, the place of Naranarayan Rishi. And they spent some time there. And one day Draupadi saw the 1,000-petaled golden flower, and she requested Bhima to get it. So when Bhima went to fetch that flower, he saw Hanumanji. Initially, he could not recognize Hanuman, but later he understood that it was his brother, the son of Vayudev, Hanuman. And Hanuman showed him that huge, gigantic form which he had taken while crossing the Lanka, while crossing the Indian Ocean towards Lanka. So in this way, Bhima got confirmation that this is Hanuman. So in this way, they were staying in the Himalayan regions. And so after meeting Hanuman, Bhima wanted to get that flower, right? 1,000-petaled golden flower, which Draupadi had asked. So Hanumanji pointed to him, okay, if you go in this direction, after a certain distance, you will get to see that abode, that lake, where you will get all these beautiful golden flowers. But he said, beware, don't unnecessarily make any disturbance there. That area is the abode of Kuvera. It is a sporting ground. It is a retreat center for Kuvera. Who is Kuvera? Kuvera is the demigod, treasurer of the demigods. All the wealth of the demigods, he is controlling. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, we hear the story of Nalakuvar and Manigriva, right? They two were the sons of Kuvera. And those two were intoxicated, arrogant about their wealthy situation, because of which they got cursed by Narada Muni. And later they became the twin Arjuna trees in Nanda Maharaja's courtyard. That's another story. But Kuvera is a lord of wealth. The treasurer of the demigods. So he is very, very wealthy, rich person. So Hanumanji said, so Bhima, when you go there, don't unnecessarily create disturbance there. So Hanumanji went and he saw that lake full of these beautiful flowers. He also saw many Yaksha guards who were guarding the place. So Yakshas are the assistants or the people of Kuvera. In the Dhruva Maharaja's pastime in Srimad Bhagavatam, we also find how the Yakshas one time killed the brother of Dhruva, whose name was Uttama. And Dhruva Maharaj got angry and he went to Alakapuri and killed so many Yakshas as revenge. So these Yakshas were guarding the lake of Kuvera. So Hanumanji, so when they saw a human being entering their region, they immediately got alert and they warned Bhima. They warned Bhima. So Bhima said, come on, I don't have to worry about these people. These flowers belong to everyone, and I am going to offer it to Draupadi, and Draupadi is anyway going to offer it to Krishna before she enjoys it or offers it to Yudhishthir. So everything belongs to Krishna ultimately, and it is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So Bhima took that, collected all those flowers, and the Yakshas attacked him, and Bhima fought with them, killed all of them. And these people got terrified and they went and reported to Kuvera. Kuvera said, don't worry, that is Bhima. He's the brother of Yudhishthir, who is the son of Dharmaraj. So don't worry, let him enjoy. He is on a mission and they are all associates of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So don't worry, don't disturb him. So in this way, Bhima happily collected all those flowers and came back to Draupadi and Yudhishthir. And Yudhishthir came to know that he has unnecessarily created all these disturbances. And he chastised Bhima, saying, why do you unnecessarily create disturbance? So anyway, Bhima didn't say anything. He just listened to whatever Yudhishthir had to say. So another time, Lomas Rishi said to the Pandavas that very soon Arjun is going to return from the heavenly regions. So we all need to be there to welcome him. Give me 1 second. So before Arjun returns, we must be there. We must go and welcome him. So where do we go? He said we need to climb the mountains. On top of the mountain, there is a plateau kind of region, which is actually the residence of Kuvera. And but ordinary human beings cannot go there. So let us stay here, a little up, a little closer to that place, and there we will wait for Arjun's return. And then he looked at Bhima and said, Bhima, you have to be careful. Don't unnecessarily create disturbance. Can you please give a summary? Which summary? I just spoke the summary. Which summary you want to hear? Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll take it in the end. So this is the Pandavas roaming around in the Himalayan regions, and they have come to the abode of Kuvera, and now they are waiting for Arjuna's return. So one day Bhima thought, okay, let me just go and check out the area. So he starts climbing the mountain, steep slopes. After some time, he reaches that area above, which was actually told not to go there. So Bhima saw that place is so beautiful, so green, so luxurious, so many nice natural beauties there, so many nice birds singing, and all these heavenly denizens are sporting around. But Bhima was like, always carrying his gada and in a fighting spirit. So when the people saw there, the yakshas, the guards saw that Bhima has come, they challenged him. Again, Bhima picked up a fight. Bhima started fighting with them and started killing the people, the yakshas. So the yakshas then went and reported to their commander-in-chief, whose name was Maniman. So Maniman got really angry, and he came with all his soldiers to attack Bhima. And Bhima was ready. Again, they fought a very fierce battle. started shooting arrows at each other, started throwing darts and spears at each other. Finally, Maniman also wounded Bhima. Bhima also started fighting with him nicely, wounding him. Finally, Bhima took his club, his gada, that heavy, powerful gada, and he threw it at Maniman. And that gada hit Maniman on his chest with a full force. And by that force, his chest got cracked open, and he fell down dead. So when the Yaksha soldiers saw Maniman, their main commander-in-chief, dead, they got really fearful. And they went and reported to Kuvera again. So Kuvera, when he heard this, he was a little disturbed. And he came on his chariot to check the situation. And there he saw Bhima. And upon seeing Bhima, he smiled. And he said to Bhima, "Don't worry, my dear child, I am not angry at you. In fact, the death of Maniman was already predicted by Agastya Rishi. Maniman had received a curse from Agastya. And now that you have killed him, he is now released from the curse." So back down in the lower mountain regions, Yudhishthira again saw inauspicious omens. And he again asked Draupadi, "Where is Bhima? Has he created some trouble?" So yeah, Draupadi said, "Yeah, I saw Bhima going up to get some flowers." Yudhishthira understood that Bhima has created some trouble. So he alone went, he climbed the mountains, and finally, after some time, he reached Kuvera's abode. And there he saw all the dead warriors and Bhima standing there with his club. And he again chastised Bhima, saying, "Why do you pick up unnecessary trouble every time? How many times I have told you not to create disturbance here? This place is the abode of the demigods, and the demigods are much more powerful than human beings. If they are offended, it's dangerous for us. We are already in a dangerous position because of the Kauravas. And if we offend the demigods, we lose all power and strength. Why do you do this all the time?" So Bhima didn't say anything. But then Kuvera came to Yudhishthira and said, "Don't worry, Yudhishthira. I am not offended by Bhima." And he described the whole story of Maniman. So Yudhishthira was curious. He said, why did Agastya Rishi curse Maniman?" So Kuvera explained that this Maniman, while we were traveling once together, this Maniman one time cursed, he spat upon the head of Agastya Rishi out of arrogance. So Agastya Rishi was sitting there peacefully. Maniman felt arrogant and he spat on Agastya, thuk diya uske chehre par, uske sir par. So Agastya Rishi got really angry and he said, "I curse you that you will be killed by a human being." And Kuvera begged forgiveness. He said, "What can we do to relieve this curse?" He said to Kuvera, "When you see that human being, you will be relieved of this curse. But this guy, this Maniman will be killed. There is no way he can escape." So Kuvera begged forgiveness, whatever he could do, and then he was waiting for this day when this curse will turn into effect. So as expected, Bhima killed Maniman and Maniman was relieved of the curse. And upon seeing Bhima, Kuvera was also relieved of the curse. So in this way, Kuvera narrated this incident to Yudhishthira, and they were all peaceful. Then Kuvera invited the Pandavas. He said, you all can stay here for some days as long as you wish. And I have no problem. We will give you all accommodation facilities. So in this way, Yudhishthira invited all the Pandavas, his brothers, and Draupadi and Dhaumya Rishi, everyone to up on top of the mountain, and they decided to stay there for some time. So one day they saw. You remember there was some brahmanas with them who had accompanied them. Very few of them. So one of those brahmanas was actually a rakshasa, and this is Kuvera appearing before the Pandavas. So one of them was a rakshasa who had disguised himself as a Brahman, and he was staying with the Pandavas. So, but no one knew that he was a rakshasa. So one time when Bhima was away, this Brahmana wanted to kidnap, this rakshasa wanted to kidnap Draupadi. So he picked up Draupadi and started going. So Yudhishthira saw that he's kidnapping Draupadi. Dhaumya also saw, and Nakul and Sahadev also saw. So they started chasing the Rakshasa. But he was running at high speed, and the Pandavas were following him. And Yudhishthira kept on warning him, wait, you demon, once Bhima returns, you will be killed. Don't unnecessarily indulge in a sinful activity of touching another's wife. Don't you know how sinful it is? In this way, Yudhishthira kept on warning him, but he didn't listen. So Bhima finally heard these cries, these sounds of Yudhishthira and Nakul and Sahadev. So he immediately came there and he challenged the Rakshasa. So when the Rakshasa saw that Bhima is challenging him, he kept Draupadi down and he decided to face Bhima. In this way, both of them fought together, and easily after some time, Bhima killed the Rakshasa. And in this way, Draupadi was saved. So just imagine how many times Draupadi's life was in danger. So this is one time. In the Kuru Sabha, you saw once the Dushyasan was trying to insult her. This is another time. Then another time we will see how Jayadratha was trying to kidnap her. Then in Virat, Kichak was trying to kidnap her. So many times Draupadi's life was in danger. And somehow by Krishna's mercy, she was always protected. You will see those stories later. So in this way, the Pandavas were staying in Kuvera's abode, and they were eagerly waiting for Arjun's return. So Arjun had spent 5 years, according to earthly calculation. He spent 5 years in the Swargaloka. And Lomas Rishi told the Pandavas he will soon return. So after reaching Kuvera's abode, on the 7th day, 7 days after reaching Kuvera's abode, Arjun returned. So they saw how this huge airplane carried by his chariot driver Matali, he came, chariot was driven by several hundreds of horses, and finally the chariot landed through airways on the mountain peak. And everyone saw this brilliant, huge chariot descending down, and Arjun almost looked like Indra. And everyone was delighted to see Arjun after such a long time. Arjun was also happy after seeing his brothers, Pandavas and Draupadi, after a long time. So he got down from the chariot, and they embraced each other, they welcomed him, and the chariot went back to Swargaloka. So Arjun then everyone inquired about Arjun's activities, and Arjun started describing all the things that he had he had encountered there, whatever incidents he experienced there, all those things he described in detail to the Pandavas. And so here is Arjun returning from the heavenly regions. So everyone asked, my screen is paused. Isn't it moving? So Arjun asked.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see it.
So Arjuna, the Pandavas asked, so what all happened in the heavenly regions? So Arjun said, one of the main services I did for Indra was fighting with these demons known as Nivata Kavachas. So like, here on earth, we have demons and demigods, good people and the bad people, divine people and demonic people. Similarly, throughout the universe also, we have different classes of people. On the higher planetary systems, we have demigods. On the lower planetary systems, we have the demons. So they are, who is a demigod, who is a demon? How do we classify them? Based on their qualities, based on their obedience to Lord Vishnu. So those who are obedient to Lord Vishnu, they are called demigods or devatas. Those who are disobedient, rebellious against Lord Vishnu, they are called the Danavas, Daityas or demons. So just like on earth, we have battles happening between different countries, different classes of people. Similarly, on a universal scale, on a universal region also, there are always battles happening. Sometimes the demons attack the devatas. Sometimes devatas attack the demons. Sometimes the devatas win. Sometimes the demons win. So these ups and downs always keep happening on a universal level also. So therefore it is, even the heavenly regions are all sometimes insecure. Sometimes we may think if you go to heaven, Swargaloka, we will enjoy there unlimitedly. But you don't know when the demons will attack you and your life will become miserable. So in one such instance, these Nivata Kavachas, they had attacked the demigods and stolen all their wealth. So Indra requested Arjun, I want your help. You must attack the Nivata Kavachas and destroy them. They are demonic forces. And they are demons. You have to kill them. So you take my chariot and my chariot driver, and please go. I bless you with all the weapons and astras and shastras and whatever you need. So Arjun said, okay, whatever service I can do for you, I will be glad to serve you in any way. So they took, Arjun went on his chariot. So this chariot was a huge chariot, which was containing all kinds of weapons and astras and arrows and spears and darts and all kinds of weapons. So finally Arjun entered the region. This region was under the ocean. And they entered under the ocean. So this chariot is a mystical chariot. It can go anywhere, into the air, into the water, on the land. Arjun was also a mystical person. He had also all the yoga siddhis. So in this way, they entered under the ocean and they entered the capital of the Nivata Kavachas. And as soon as Arjun entered, he blew his shankh. The name of the shankh is Devadatta. And the demons realized someone is attacking us. In this way, Arjun attacked. All these demon warriors started coming out in huge number, hundreds and thousands of them. And they started attacking Arjun and the chariot. But Arjun had all the mystical powers. He started releasing arrows, hundreds of them, thousands of them. One arrow expanding into multiple arrows. In this way, Arjun was counteracting all the weapons that the demons were throwing at him. And this way, he was killing hundreds of thousands of the demons. So then the demon would go, all the demon would go inside, and then they would prepare again, and then they would again attack. In this way, it would continue. Finally, they saw that Arjun is a very formidable attacker or formidable enemy. So they decided you cannot kill him with ordinary weapons. Let us resort to mystical, illusory weapons, psychic powers. So they started creating all kinds of illusion. So what they do is the person starts thinking that there are lions and serpents and tigers and all kinds of wild animals are attacking me. Yeah, it was used by Lord Ram also, even Arjun also, in the Kurukshetra war also. So these are all psychic warfare. So they are not actually animals, wild animals, but the victim, the opponent feels that these are actually attacking us. So, but Arjun with his astras, he started dispelling and destroying all these illusory things. And finally, after long struggle, long fight, Arjuna was successful in destroying all the Nivata Kavachas warriors. And then he went inside the capital city. And there he saw all the palace ladies crying when they saw all their husbands had been killed by Arjun. So in this way, Arjun collected all the wealth and the property that actually belonged to Indra and started returning towards Swarga. On the way, he saw another city, the city of the Kalakanya. So he inquired from the charioteer, Matali, so what is this? So Matali said, these are also demonic beings. You need to kill them also. So again, another war happened with the Kalakanya, something similar that happened with Nivata Kavachas. And in this way, Arjun destroyed them also. And after that battle, he came back with all the wealth and the property back to Swargaloka, Indra's capital city, Amravati. And there, Indra welcomed him happily, blessed him with all the blessings, and said, now you are successful. No one in the three worlds can destroy you, Arjun. You are the best, most excellent warrior in the entire three worlds. You have the knowledge of all the weapons, and you will be using all these weapons in the upcoming war of Kurukshetra. So now you are ready. I bless you that you go down and help your brothers regain the kingdom. In this way, Arjun uh, returns to Earth planet. So Arjun describes all these stories to the Pandavas, Yudhishthira and Draupadi, and he gives a lot of gifts. He had brought all kinds of special gems, precious gems, and he gives them to Draupadi, and Draupadi is very happy. So in this way, the Pandavas stay on Himalayan regions in Kovera's abode for 4 years after Arjun's return. So now they have spent almost 9 or 10 years in Vanvas. So then after some time, they start thinking, we have spent a lot of time here. We have spent a lot of time in Kovera's abode, and Kovera has been gracious enough to accommodate us all these days. I think we should go back down. Bhima tells this to Yudhishthira. Because if we stay here in this comfortable location, then we will get accustomed to it. And we are so comfortable here. We may start thinking, okay, why go and fight the war again unnecessarily? Why go and live a life of struggle there? So we don't want to do that. We don't want to go through that experience. So before that experience, before we start getting that kind of feelings, let us go back down to Kamyakavan, which is not so comfortable. So Yudhishthira also agrees to this point. So he says, okay, let us select an auspicious time and then we'll start moving down. So one specific day they decide we will move down. So again they call Ghatotkach, who helps them, who carries them on his shoulders, he and his assistants, and they come down to Badrikashram. And they decide from there on we will walk down. The Yudhishthira requests Ghatotkach, my dear son, you have helped us a lot. Now you may all go back to your respective locations. So Ghatotkach offers obeisances and he goes back. And from Badrikashram, the Pandavas start walking on foot. And they gradually start coming down. coming down towards the ground level. So one day, once they were resting in one place on the mountain regions. So Bhima said, okay, let me go and let me just walk around, look around the place. So he moves out to see the woods, to see the gardens, to see the forest and animals. So after walking for a few minutes, he saw a huge serpent. Look at the size of the serpent. Huge serpent. And Bhima is wondering, who is this serpent? So before Bhima could inquire and find out who he was, the serpent captures him and binds Bhima on his coils. So Bhima thinks, who is this? And Bhima is struggling to escape from the clutches of the serpent. But Bhima is unable to do so. Although he is so powerful, but Bhima is unable to get out, release himself from the clutches of the serpent. So he's wondering what to do. So he thought, okay, let me talk to this serpent. So he starts inquiring, my dear serpent, who are you and why have you captured me? So the serpent starts speaking. He said, I am Nahusha and I was the king of this planet once upon a time. In fact, I am your ancestor. You are all descendants of me. But that doesn't mean I am not going to eat you. You may be my descendant, but I am very hungry and I am going to eat you up. So Bhima inquires, so before you eat me up, let me know about you. And Nahusha starts speaking. So Nahusha says, actually, I was the king of earth, and because of my pious activity, I was promoted as the king of heaven for some time. And there, I offended the great sage Agastya. So all these people somehow or other offend great sages. So one time the sages were carrying Nahusha because he is the king. They were carrying Nahusha on a palanquin. So Nahusha got very proud and arrogant. So he offended the sage Agastya by his words. So Agastya cursed him. You fool, because you treat us so disrespectfully, I curse you to become a serpent. So in this way, Nahusha falls down from the heavenly position and he becomes a serpent, python on earth. So Nahusha inquires, how can I get released from the curse? So Agastya says, when you see a human being and when he answers your questions, you will be released from the curse. So in this way, Nahusha is now a serpent. So Bhima says, okay, I'll try to answer your question, if I can. But Nahusha is not interested. So meanwhile, Yudhishthir and Draupadi, they start noticing inauspicious signals. So Yudhishthir understands Bhima must be doing something. So he starts traveling along the path from which along with Bhima walked. So he sees the signals, so okay, these plants have fallen, the animals are dead here. He understands this is the path that Bhima has taken. Finally, after some time, he reaches a place where Bhima is captured by the serpent. And he sees Bhima struggling there. And he understands. So who are you? How can I help you? So Nahusha says, I have a few questions. If you answer my question, then I will release your brother. If you don't answer my question, I will eat Bhima and I will eat you also. He tells Yudhishthir. So Yudhishthir says, of course, I can answer your questions. Please ask me. Then Nahusha starts asking questions. He starts asking about what are the qualities of a real Brahmana, real Kshatriya, and what is real Dharma. In this way, he asks several questions. And Yudhishthira answers them, all of them. And Nahusha is very happy. So Yudhishthira says, it seems you are very learned and knowledgeable. I also have a few questions to ask you. So Yudhishthira starts asking questions about arrogance, about false pride, about ego. And in this way, Nahusha answers Yudhishthira's questions, and Yudhishthira is also happy. So finally, Nahusha releases Bhima, and he says, because you all have answered my questions, I am also released from the curse. In this way, Nahusha immediately changes his form. He takes a celestial form, and then he gives up the body of the serpent, and he goes back to his original location. In this way, Bhima and Yudhishthira are released from the clutches of death, and they come back to their residence. Again, Yudhishthira chastises Bhima. Because every time you go somewhere, you create problem. And then someone else have to come there and release you. Again, Bhima doesn't say anything. He just ashamed at his behavior. So in this way, after some time, they start traveling down, climbing down the mountains. And finally, after long travel, they reach the Kamyakavan, from where they originally started. So after traveling all these holy places of pilgrimage, they finally come back to Kamyakavan. And last few days they have to spend here before they can go into Agyatavas. So finally they come and settle down at Kamyakavan. So here, after some time, Krishna and Satyabhama, they come to meet the Pandavas. So Krishna, because he is God, he understands, okay, Pandavas have come back. He is the Paramatma in everyone's heart. So he decides to pay a visit to the Pandavas. And he and Satyabhama come to Kamyaka. And then they inquire about the Pandavas' welfare. And they inquire about what all places they visit. He inquires from Arjun how his stay was in the heavenly regions. Satyabhama inquires from Draupadi about various things. In this way, they have a nice meeting. So when this meeting was going on, Markandeya Muni comes there. You remember Markandeya Muni? The oldest sage on the universe. So Markandeya Muni comes in, so everyone welcomes him, respects him, offers him a nice seat, and they start inquiring from Markandeya Muni. So Markandeya Muni gives him a lot of instructions. Here are some instructions you see on the slide. He says, a wealthy man who spends his life in pleasure will suffer in the next life. You enjoy in this life, then you suffer in the next life. An ascetic means a sage, who gives up pleasure in this life will enjoy in the next. Then, those who marry and live pious lives as householders or grihasthas, performing sacrifice and giving charity, such people enjoy both in this life and the next. But the foolish man who follows the scriptural injunctions suffers continuously life after life. So 4 kinds of people. The first class of people, the wealthy man, enjoys this life, suffers in the next life. An ascetic or sage suffers in this life, enjoys in next life. A pious householder enjoys both in this life and the next life, if he performs sacrifice and gives charity. Whereas a foolish man suffers in this life and in the next life. So 1001, 1100. 4 kinds of people who suffer or enjoy based on their activities. So in this way, Markandeya Muni gives them a lot of instructions, and Yudhishthira is very happy to hear all of them. And Markandeya Muni started describing his experiences. I remember who is Markandeya Muni when the whole universe got flooded with water. He was alone, surviving. and he was swimming across everywhere. The whole universe was flooded. The whole world was flooded. There was only water, water everywhere. And Markandeya Muni was like swimming around, not knowing what to do. Where am I going? What is happening? My ashram got inundated. The whole world is flooded with water. And I am surviving. So after many, many years swimming around like this, at one place he saw this beautiful form of baby Krishna on the leaf of a banyan tree, playing a flute. And he saw this most enchanting form, and he swam towards that place. And as soon as Markandeya Muni reached boy, the boy suddenly took inhalation. He inhaled. What happened? Markandeya went inside. And inside the abdomen, he saw the entire universe back in its original place, original form. Everything was back to normal. So Markandeya is wondering, what happened? Was it a dream or was it real? And this way, some time passed. Again, the boy exhaled. Sorry, inhaled. And again, Markandeya Muni went inside. And again, he saw the entire universe flooded. So in this way, it happened a couple of times. And everything, after some time, the Supreme Lord Krishna withdrew his Maya potency. And Markandeya Muni was again back in his ashram. So this pastime appears in the 12th canto. Markandeya Muni had requested Krishna, please show me your Maya energy once. And therefore he had to go through all this experience. So Markandeya Muni describes that narration, how he saw this baby Krishna on the leaf of a banyan tree. And he tells the Pandavas, that baby Krishna is non-different from this Krishna here, who is standing in front of you. It's the same Supreme Lord whom I saw long back as a baby boy, sucking his toe. So everyone started staring at Krishna with respect. That Supreme Lord is acting like our friend, an ordinary human being, and guiding us, and acting like a friend, always remaining with us, exchanging loving dealings with us. In this way, everyone felt their attraction towards Krishna grow to a great proportion. So in this way, Markandeya describes another thing. He describes the age of Kali. The Kali Yuga, how horrible the Kali Yuga will be. How people will become sinful and they won't mind doing all kinds of adharmic activities just for sense gratification. And how life in the material world in Kali Yuga will be so miserable. People will be tortured by so many people, by the government, by other living entities, by natural calamities. Everything will be upside down in Kali Yuga. So in this way, Markandeya Muni gives all these descriptions. So in this way, the Pandavas are spending their time last few months in the forest, and they are waiting for the 13th year to begin, the Agyatavas to begin. Meanwhile, in Hastinapur, what is happening? So Duryodhan, Dushasan, Shakuni, Karna, they are all enjoying nicely. They didn't even realize how 12 years have almost passed. The Pandavas were living in the forest and they had no threat from the Pandavas. And without the Pandavas, they had enjoyed all the wealth that Pandavas had accumulated. And this way, they were enjoying life. So one day, Duryodhan remembered, Shakuni reminded him, so my dear Bhanje, all the wealth of the Pandavas you have enjoyed nicely, but now 13 years are going to get over. So they are wondering what to do. What should we do? We want to provoke the Pandavas. Although they are not causing any trouble to us, but we just want to create unnecessary trouble to them. So what should we do? So they decided, okay, let us do one thing. Let us take our army and all the wealth and opulence and just take it in front of the Pandavas. When the Pandavas will see this, they will become really envious of us. So they come up with this idea. So Karna suggests his idea. But Duryodhana is not sure whether Dhritarashtra will allow him. So Karna says, don't worry. What you should tell your father is, we have to, our cowherd, cattle, is now currently in Dvaitavan. And as a Kshatriya, we have to count the cattle. We have to keep stock of the cattle. So therefore, let us go there and do that seva, do that job. Anyway, we are supposed to do it anyway. So why don't we go and do it? So Dhritarashtra warns them, I have heard that the Pandavas are camping there. Why do you want to go there and unnecessarily create trouble? Duryodhana says, don't worry, we have nothing to do with the Pandavas. We are going there to do our job. We will do that and come back. But actually their intention was to unnecessarily trouble the Pandavas. And this counting the cattle was just an excuse. So in this way, everyone goes. Duryodhana, Dushasana, Shakuni, Karna, and they're all 100 brothers. They go to Dvaitavan. So they set up their camp, set up their residences, and they decide to spend some time there. So one time, Duryodhana was going to enjoy in one lake there. The Kauravas were planning to enjoy in one lake, and the Gandharvas came there and shouted, come on, this area belongs to us. You have no right to enjoy this property. So Duryodhana's soldiers, they challenged the Gandharvas. They said, look, this is the, we are the soldiers of Duryodhana, the prince of the Kaurava. And he has ordered us to stay here and enjoy. Who are you to stop us? So the Gandharva shout back, said, come on, you fools. You are human beings and we are Gandharvas. We can easily defeat you. We don't care about your Duryodhana and others. You go and tell your master that he cannot enjoy this property. He should mind his own business and go somewhere else. They come and report to Duryodhana. And Duryodhana is really angry. He said, how can they tell me? I am the king of the planet, the emperor of the world, and I have every right to enjoy everything what I want. So in this way, he takes the soldiers. And Karna also goes there. And they again challenge the Gandharvas. And this time they start a fight. So Gandharvas are fighting with the Kaurava soldiers headed by Duryodhana, Karna. So the fight continues for some time and gradually Karna starts gaining the upper hand. He starts defeating all the Gandharvas. And very soon he defeats them and is overjoyed. And the Gandharvas go and report to their leader, Chitra's, what is his name? I think Chitrangada. Chitrangada. So the Gandharva leader, he gets really Chitraratha, correct? Chitraratha. Thank you, Krishna. So Chitraratha gets really angry. He comes with his army and he decides to fight with Karna. And gradually Chitraratha is fighting with Karna and eventually Chitraratha defeats Karna. And Karna is wounded to such an extent that he runs away from the battlefield. And what does Chitraratha do? Chitrasena or Chitraratha? Someone, one of them. 1 second, let me check. Chitrasen, correct, Chitrasen. So Karna runs away from the battlefield and Chitrasen and his soldiers capture all the 100 Kauravas. They kidnap them and they bind them with ropes and they bring them to, they capture them. So by the time some of the soldiers of Kauravas, they understand that the Pandavas are not very far from here. So they go and request Yudhishthir and informs them that our master Duryodhan, he has been captured by Gandharvas. Please help us release him. So Yudhishthir hears their request and he tells Bhima and Arjun, look, Bhima and Arjun, they are our brothers. We should go and help them. So Bhima says, come on. Why do you want to help them? What we could not do, the Gandharvas have already done. Capturing Duryodhana and smashing his false pride. Why should we help them? So Yudhishthir says, no, we cannot say like that. We may be 5 and they may be 100. But when in front of an enemy, we are 105. We should be united. So it's our duty to help them. So Bhima and Arjun finally agree. And they go and challenge Chitrasen and his army. And they start fighting. And eventually, Arjun and Bhima overpower Chitrasen and his army. So Chitrasen then comes down and comes in front of Bhima and Arjun and says, come on, Arjun and Bhim, look, I am your friend. I am not your enemy. I have come here because I knew that this foolish Duryodhan is going to create trouble for you. And I came here to protect you from him. So I am your friend. Why are you fighting with me? So Arjun says, look, we thank you for your friendship, but our master Yudhishthir has told that you should release Duryodhan. So Chitra says, okay, if you are demanding that, I will release him. But I don't want to release him. I want to kill him because of his sinful nature. But because you are saying this, you are requesting this, I will release him. So in this way, so Duryodhan hears all this conversation. He's hearing the fight. He saw the fight between Arjun and the Gandharvas, and he saw how Gandharva wanted to kill him, and how Arjun and Bhima, Duryodhan's biggest enemies, they are the ones who is saving his life. And Duryodhan comes back. Arjun and Bhim release Duryodhan, and Yudhishthir gives him a nice advice. He says, my dear brother, why do you keep such envy in your heart? Why do you keep such poison in your heart? Give up all envy and anger and stay peacefully. And why do you pick up quarrels every now and then? So he advises in this way and releases Duryodhan. So Duryodhan comes back to the camp and he sees all the 100 brothers, Dushasan, Kaurava, Karna, Shakuni. So Karna, by the time, he has come back after running away initially. So he thought Duryodhan fought nicely and defeated the Gandharvas. He didn't know that Duryodhan was captured by the Gandharvas and how Bhima and Arjun had helped him release. So Duryodhan explains the whole situation to Karna and says how we were actually captured and Yudhishthir, Bhima and Arjun actually released us. And Duryodhan goes into a depression. He gets into an emotional breakdown. He says, I cannot tolerate my enemies saving my life. The Pandavas are my biggest enemies, and I feel humiliated by today's incident. I had come to kill them, insult them, but instead I got insulted, and I got captured, and I was saved by them. Instead of killing them, those people saved my life. This is such a big insult, big humiliation for me. I cannot tolerate anymore. And therefore, I am going to end my life here today. I am going to fast until death, and no one can change my mind. So when the other Kauravas heard this, they got shocked. They were wondering what happened to Duryodhana. But Duryodhana was determined. He said, yes, I am not going back to Hastinapur. O Dushasan, I request you, you become the king and you rule the kingdom on my behalf. I have no interest in wealth and property and kingdom and rulership, emperorship. I have decided to fast my life unto death. So everyone tried to inspire him, encourage him, and saying, no, it's okay. It happens some once in a while. So you don't have to take it so seriously. Please come back. You have to become the emperor of the world. Very soon you are going to become the emperor. So don't indulge in such childish thoughts. So everyone tries to encourage, but Duryodhana is serious. He says, I have no interest. And he sits in a meditative pose, yogic pose, and he goes into dhyan. Screen is paused. That's all. That's all you have. The Gandharvas defeat the Kauravas. Arjun and Bhim release the Kauravas. Yes, this is the scene. The Gandharvas are fighting, and here Arjun and Bhima are releasing. So Duryodhana goes into a meditation. He decides to fast until death. And all other Kauravas are depressed. They can't do anything. So when Duryodhana is sitting in meditation, something interesting happens. What happens? So you understand the whole universe. In the beginning we discussed, right? There are Daityas, demons. There are the demigods. They are all powerful people. So Duryodhana happened to be an agent of the demons on earth. Just like we have representatives of various people, the ambassadors of governments traveling to various countries. So something similar. The demons have their representatives, and they wanted to conquer the universe. And Duryodhana happened to be their main agent to conquer the earth and establish the demonic rule on earth. So when Duryodhana started sitting in meditation, the demons did one mystical thing. They came to him and they took out a subtle body and transported it to the lower regions of the universe. The subtle body means what? So we have this gross body made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And our subtle body is there. Mind, intelligence, and ego. And we have spirit, soul. Right? So the soul has subtle body made of mind, intelligence, ego, and the gross body made of earth, water, fire, air, ether. So the demons, what they did was, mind, intelligence, ego. The demons carried the soul of Duryodhana along with its subtle body and took it to the lower regions, to their capital city. And Duryodhana was wondering, what's happening? Who is carrying me? Where am I going? And upon reaching there, the king of the demons gave him a nice motivational talk, inspirational talk. He said, oh, my dear Duryodhana, my dear child, why do you want to fast until death? Don't you know that you are our main agent, main representative on earth? And we want you to become the king. You to become the king and rule over the entire planet. So therefore, give up this idea of fasting until death. We guarantee you of all assistance, all help during the upcoming war. When the war will happen, we will empower you with all kinds of powers. And don't worry about Karna. Karna is also our agent. And don't worry about Bhishma and Dronacharya. All these people are going to act on your side, on your behalf. Although they may be having some affection for the Pandavas, but during the war, they all will be empowered by us and they will fight for you. And in this way, you will win the war and you will become the emperor of the planet. We guarantee you this. So don't worry about anything and give up the stupid idea of fasting until death. And this way, the Danavas gave them a pep talk and again brought him back to Dvaitavan, where he was fasting. And again, he entered the gross body. So after several hours, he got up and he remembered this dream. It was like a dream, although it was not a dream, but he thought it was a dream. And he wondered, who are these people? And he got new confidence. He thought these people are going to help me in the war. And I am going to become the king. No matter who is going to stand against me, they all will be killed and defeated by me, and I will become the king. So suddenly he gave up the idea. He woke up from his meditation and he announced to everyone, the Karna and Dushasana and others, and he said, yes, I will follow your instruction. I won't fast until death, and I will come back to Hastinapur. and we will get ready for the war. So when Karna, Shakuni, Duryodhan, Dushasan heard this, they were surprised. Suddenly he gave up this idea. But anyway, they welcomed his decision and they got happy and they went back to Hastinapur. So Duryodhan constantly remembered this dream of the Danavas. And whenever anyone would advise him that you should give up your evil means, you should make friendship with the Pandavas, he just laughed at them because he thought these people are so foolish. Vidura would advise him, Bhishma would advise him, but he would think these old men, they are so foolish. They don't know that I am empowered by the Danavas and I am going to win the war. No matter who is there on the other side, I have the support of Danavas, Daityas, and definitely with their help, I am going to win and become the king and emperor. So in this way, Duryodhan went through a transformation. And because of this dream and vision, he never listened to anyone's advice because he thought everyone is foolish. That's why no one could convince him about giving up the envy he felt towards the Pandavas. So this is the vision he gets. He goes to the Danava planet and experiences that. Okay, so we'll stop here for today. Anyone has any question or comment? We can take a few. Yes, Naman. Yes, Naman. Mati, are you there? Let me see if I can unmute you. Where are you? I can't see your name. Ah, Naman.
Hari bol Prabhuji.
Ah, yes.
So Prabhuji, I wanted to recite a shloka.
Okay.
So this is the shloka. Jayatu Jayatu Devo Devaki Nandanoyam. Jayatu Krishna Vrishni Vamsha Pratipah. Jayatu Mega Shyamalah Komalango. Jayatu Prithvi Bharata Nasho Mukundah. And the translation is Jayatu Devo Devaki Nandanoyam. All glories to the personality of the Godhead, the son of Devaki. Jayatu Krishna Vrishni Vamsha Pradipah. All glories to Lord Krishna, of Vrishni dynasty, the beacon of light. Jayatu Megha Shyamalah Komalango. All glories to him who is like a new cloud, who is blackish, who is very soft, whose body is like just like that. Jayatu Prithvi Bharata Nasho Mukundah. All glories to the destroyer of the earth's burden, Lord Sri Krishna.
Nice verse from the Mukunda Mala Stotra, right? First verse.
No, second verse.
Second verse, okay. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Nicely singing and translating it. Anyone has any question? Okay, everyone knows the philosophy and the story nicely. Everything clear? Okay, Sumit, Deepak Rathod, Jagannath ji, right? What's the question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I wanted to ask that was Karna a better archer and better in material arts from Arjuna? Because every time sometimes Krishna would glorify also Arjuna. Sorry, means Karna, because at the battlefield, Arjuna was confused what to do, to battle or to give up to battle. But but Karna knows the whole truth that Karna was the brother of Arjuna and all were his relatives. Then also he performed his duty by obeying the vow he had given to Duryodhana. So as it we can say that Karna has Karna is better in material arts in obeying his vow than Arjuna.
Okay, this is a detailed answer it requires. Whether Karna was superior to Arjun or Arjun was superior to Karna. I'll give you a short answer. Maybe some other time we can discuss in greater detail. If you look at the history, how many times, look at this incident of Gandharvas. Karna was unable to defeat the Gandharvas, whereas Arjun was able to defeat the Gandharvas. Later you will see in the Virat Parva, Arjun single-handedly defeated all the Kauravas, including Karna. And a couple of other instances where Karna was bragging, always boasting that I will do this, I will do that, but he never did anything productive, constructive. So that way Karna was very good at bragging. He was a very arrogant, very harsh, rudely speaking, and he was very loyal to Duryodhan, who happened to be the biggest.
But Prabhuji, I have one more doubt. That as you said that he was not more powerful than Arjuna, but he was more determined than Arjuna. He knew that Arjuna and all Bhishma Pitama and all were his relative. Then also, without confusing, he vowed to do the war on Duryodhana's side.
That's not a very good quality. Being determined alone may not be very much good quality. For what sake are you determined? If you are showing your determination for performing a sinful activity, there is nothing glorious about it. Why Arjun? Arjun was also equally determined, but he was considering whether fighting the battle is good for society or bad for society. Is it a dharmic activity or adharmic activity? Therefore, he was considering. He didn't want to blindly, whimsically indulge in sinful killing. As a thoughtful person, as an intelligent person, he wanted to consider all kinds of pros and cons before participating in the war. Not unnecessarily kill people. Therefore, he was confused, not because he was lacking determination. Whereas on the other side, Duryodhana and Kauravas, they never cared to understand what is beneficial and what is not beneficial. They were only interested in fulfilling their selfish desires. They wanted to become the emperor. They wanted to steal everything, enjoy others' property. Therefore, they were determined to fight the war. So there is nothing glorious about it. You understand? Determination alone is not a glorious activity or glorious quality. For whose sake? For what sake? For the purpose of what are you determined? That's what decides whether your determination is useful or not. Even the terrorists are determined to destroy people's lives. Whereas
But Karna was bounded in his vow and to war from his other side, so he wasn't able to fight from the dharma side.
But that kind of vow was useless. You are taking a vow to support the greatest terrorist on the world. Who was Duryodhan? He was the biggest sinful man on the planet. So your friendship towards such a person is useless. Just imagine tomorrow Al-Qaeda comes to you and says, okay, you become my friend, oh Jagannath. I want to extend my friendship to you and I will do whatever you want. So will you extend your friendship to him? You may say, oh, although he may be terrorist, they may be killing so many people, but he is my friend. So let me support him in all his nonsense. Such kind of friendship is useless. We don't care to respect such kind of friendship. We want to make friendship with Krishna. And Krishna says in the Gita, Suhradam sarva bhuktanam gyatva mam shantim richati. I am your best friend, the biggest well-wisher of every living entity. So we, instead of befriending such stupid people like Duryodhan, we want to make our friendship with Krishna, who is the best person in the world, the supreme personality of Godhead, and the most biggest well-wisher of everyone. That kind of vow has some value. So just because he is determined and he has fulfilled his vow and he's fulfilling his promise, that alone doesn't make someone great. What is the cause behind your friendship and determination? That decides whether the person is great or not. Is that okay? We will discuss this some other time when we come to about Karna's section. Any other question anyone has? Okay, so should we stop here? And next time we will have a Kahoot quiz. So be prepared with today's session and last week's session. Based on these two sessions, we will have a quiz. Chandrika, you have a question? Yes, speak. Are you speaking? Now speak. Are you speaking? Can't hear you. Hare Krishna. Mati, are you there? Hey, Chandrika, you want to send a message? I can't hear you anything. No Kahoot quiz today. We will have it tomorrow because Gopal Lila Prabhu is not here. He has to go somewhere. Okay, Ahana also has a question. Mati, are you there? Radhika Kishori Mati?
Prabhuji,
Yes.
at class you said something foolish. Can you again repeat it?
Which
That's
one?
something. And the last story, the last you were saying, right? In that you said something foolish. I wanted to ask the question in that. I forgot that.
About Karna and Duryodhan?
Not that. In the last story, now you said the last story, right?
The
And
last,
then ended.
what is
So
the last?
I said something foolish. I forgot that.
I can't remember. When did I use the word foolish?
Now you had. Now I got remembered. That time you said that whenever whenever Bhishma Pitamaha or Vidura, anyone said that Duryodhan didn't listen. Even did Maharaj Dhritarashtra said like to leave that. Did Duryodhan is it there? Means did Maharaj Dhritarashtra said Duryodhan to leave the.
Yeah, Dhritarashtra also advised him. Vidura advised him. Bhishma, Dronacharya advised him. So many people advised him. But Duryodhan would always think these people are foolish.
I wanted to ask the question because you didn't say Dhritarashtra. And if Dhritarashtra also said Duryodhan didn't obey his father.
Correct. Dhritarashtra would say it sometimes, but he was not serious. He was not forceful enough in his advice to Duryodhan because he also had his attachment towards Duryodhan. So he would just mildly tell Duryodhan, "Oh, Duryodhan, don't do this, don't do that. It is not good." But Duryodhan hardly cared about Dhritarashtra's advice because he knew that Dhritarashtra can be easily tempted. I can easily manipulate Dhritarashtra, my father. So Dhritarashtra also internally desired that his son should become the king. So although he would say destiny is supreme, that's all the will of destiny, I can't do anything, he would give these excuses. But ultimately he had the power to change Duryodhan. But because of his attachment, he never enforced his decision upon Duryodhan. And he allowed Duryodhan to do all the sinful activities he did against the Pandavas. So that way Dhritarashtra was also foolish. And Duryodhan was definitely foolish because he just never appreciated the good qualities of the Pandavas. So yeah, that is correct.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you for your question. Anyone else before we wind up?
Haribol, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, it's 1:25 almost. We will see you next time, next week, next Saturday. Thank you very much for your participation and enthusiastic questions. Hare Krishna.